What's up guys, Maelstrom here. Be sure to like, subscribe and leave a comment. Without further ado, let's begin. The butterfly effect. In chaos theory, the butterfly effect is the sensitive dependency on initial conditions in which a small change at one place in a deterministic nonlinear system can result in large differences in a later state. Such complicated terms to describe such a simple effect. To put it in layman's terms, a simple change, no matter where it is, how big it is or how long it lasted, can bring devastating consequences to another place. For example, a hurricane's formation being contingent on whether or not a distant butterfly had flapped its wings several weeks earlier. Big things have small beginnings. Like the forging of one ring, finding a black notebook on the ground, the consumption of a single fruit from a tree, or the end of a life. What is the value of one life? A simple question to which there is no right or wrong answer. Some would take that question and approach it from a monetary point of view, some from a cultural point of view, but most would take it from a spiritual point of view. But why would spiritual dominate over other choices? Because the gift of life is something we do not understand. We do not know how it begins nor what happens after it's over, but we do know that all life is precious and to be protected at all costs. But the question remains, how much is one life worth? Are some lives worth more than others? If so, then why would these lives be worth more if they are all the same? When would we be willing to trade one life in exchange for another? Or many others? The end of a life. How much the end of a life could affect our world? If you asked anyone with half a brain, would reply that it was worthless. A single life, the destruction of a single drop of water in a vast ocean, would be meaningless and be discarded as worthless. But this is where you are all wrong. Not all lives are worth the same, and some are more valuable than others. Some, while they may not seem like it, are worth thousands if not millions of others. These lives should be cherished and protected at all costs, for no one knows what their end could bring into our world. And here is where the butterfly effect comes into play. This particular life belongs to a gentle, serene and very kind soul. A strong, forgiving heart that housed a soul of steel. A person willing to trade her life for the person she cherished above everything. And it's with this particular life that everything began. While she would have been tagged as someone weak and worthless, she was far from it. She was the key to saving this world, a key that locked the beast away, a key that had been broken before the cage was closed. October 9th, Mount Myoboku. 8 years after Kyuubi's attack. Mount Myoboku, also known as the Anquat, Mountain of Bewilderment Anquat, is a sacred place of the land of toads, the place where all the toads that Naruto, Minato and Jiraiya have summoned live. It is home for huge and small toads alike. Mount Myoboku is a rich and beautiful land, whose ultimate authority seems to be the great toad sage. Shima and Fukasaku are both elders and sages, and they seem to have an even higher authority than Gamabunta himself. Gamamaru, more commonly known as the Great Toad Sage, is the oldest and most respected toad of all the inhabitants of Mount Myoboku. Because of his age, the other toads affectionately call him Great Honorable Geezer. He is famed for his highly accurate prophecies. And a prophecy he was about to give. Great Toad Sage's dream. Everything was burning. There were flames everywhere, trees were burning, thunders echoed, and the smell of burned flesh filled the air. As Gamamaru observed his surroundings, it didn't take much time for him to find out where he stood. Gamamaru looked towards the remains of a nearby mountain. On the ground was half the face of Hiruzen Sarutobi, the Sandaime Hokage of Konoha. Gamamaru's eyes widened in disbelief at the state of the firstborn hidden village in the elemental nations. the strongest of great five nations, was nothing more than burning ruins. Not a single building stood as Gamamaru made his way through the wreckage. Gamamaru approached the middle of the village, and into a huge crater that stood right in the center of it. In the middle of the crater were two people. One with long blonde, waist-length, spiky hair with bangs that framed his face and partially covered his right eye. This person was calmly sitting on the ground, smiling as he enjoyed the destruction around him. This blonde person was firmly gripping his sword, who was driven straight through the heart of the other person, lying on the ground in a pool of his own blood. This person was a tall man with waist-length, spiky, white hair, with two shoulder-length bangs that framed both sides of his face. He also had red lines that ran down from his eyes and wore a horned forehead protector with the kanji for oil. By his shoulder were two dead toads as well, toads that Gamamaru knew too well, Fukasaku and Shima. Gamamaru could barely breathe as he simply stared at his dead summoner and the two elders of his own clan. And what? How could this happen? And what? Gamamaru wondered out loud, and the blonde man seemed to hear his words. And what? You seem surprised, and what? The blonde man said in a deep voice as he raised his head, and two blood-red eyes with three black tomos flared to life. Gamamaru flinched when he saw the blonde's eyes that radiated hate and malice in waves. Even the man's chakra seemed to darken everything around him. And what? This cannot be. And what? Gamamaru said as everything he had watched before was simply thrown away by this new vision. And what? A mischievous blue-eyed boy will unite the tailed beasts and change the world, right? And what? The blonde man chuckled at Gamamaru's shocked face. Gamamaru had only told that phrase to one person, and that person alone knew the prophecy he had made. Hagoromo Otsutsuki was this person. And what? It did come true after all. I united all of the bijus under the jubi, becoming its Jinchuriki, and I brought many changes to the world. And what? The blonde man said, smiling darkly. And what? Why, you see, can't be. And what? Gamamaru stuttered as he tried to come out with the right words. The blonde man turned off his Sharingan, and blue eyes surfaced for the first time since Gamamaru's arrival. And what? En Naruto. And what? Gamamaru stated while Naruto simply smiled. And what? The one and only. And what? Naruto replied, chuckling as he rose and effortlessly plucked his sword out of Jiraiya's chest. And what? How could this happen? And what? Gamamaru said. He looked around to see Konoha slowly burning the nothingness. And what? Why did you do this? Killing Jiraiya, the Toad Elders, and everyone else. And what? Gamamaru asked in shock. Naruto was supposed to be the child of the prophecy, a child that would bring peace to the world. And what? Let me show you. And what? Naruto said as his eyes turned into his Mangekyo. And what? Tsukuyomi. And what? Naruto said, placing Gamamaru in his genjutsu to show him how everything had begun. Flashback. It was October 10th, just 8 long years after the Kyuubi had been defeated at the hands of the fourth Hokage. A small 8-year-old blonde boy was strolling down Konoha. The boy was smiling as he carelessly walked through the booming streets of Konoha. He grinned at all the attractions while ignoring all the dirty looks sent his way. By his side walked a young girl with 8 years as well. Her hair was short, Leveldheim cut style just above her forehead, with chin-length strands framing her face. She wore a cream-colored hooded jacket with a fire symbol on the upper right and left sleeves, and fur around the cuffs and hem, with navy blue pants. Hyuga Hinata happily walked down the streets with Konoha, happily laughing as she stood side by side with Naruto. In her forehead she bore a piece of purple silk to hide her cage bird seal. And what? Anyo. And what? Hinata started poking her fingers together. And what? Which attraction are we seeing first? And what? Hinata asked. Ever since she started living with Naruto, his outgoing personality had started rubbing off on her, breaking her shy exterior and timid personality. And what? I don't know. And what? Naruto replied, grinning. And what? There are so many. How about we go for some ramen first? And what? Naruto asked while Hinata just smiled at his grin. Both walked down the streets, admiring the fireworks that illuminated the night of Konoha. Naruto looked to his left to see an Anbu concealed in the shadows and silently observing him. And what? Must be just in case. And what? Naruto thought to himself as he and Hinata made their way towards the ramen stand. Naruto and Hinata quickly arrived the ramen stand and sat down on the stools. And what? How are my favorite clients? And what? Tucci asked, smiling at the kids. And what? Ready for ramen, old man? And what? Naruto yelled, pumping his fist into the air. Hinata just giggled at his antics as Tucci brought their orders and placed them down. A few minutes later another person came into the stand. Squeal **. Tucci clutched to his ears as his 14-year-old daughter came into the stand, only to find her most adorable little brothers eating. And what? Naru-chan, Hina-chan. And what? Ayame said as she quickly hugged both kids, smoothing them to death. And what? Ayame-ne-chan. And what? Naruto struggled to say as Ayame quickly released them and back away, coughing in embarrassment. And what? That is some grip. And what? Naruto said, gasping for air, while everyone just laughed. And what? How much, old man? And what? Naruto asked, but Tucci waved him off. And what? On the house. After all, it's your birthday, Naruto. And what? Tucci said. And what? Thank you, old man. And what? Naruto said with his eyes watering. Tucci and Ayame were one of the few people that liked Naruto. And what? How about this? And what? Ayame started gathering the attention of everyone. And what? Hina-chan must kiss Naru-chan. And what? Ayame said as both kids blushed up a storm. Tucci just laughed out loud at his daughter's antics. And what? Ayame-ne. And what? Naruto started yelling until he felt a pair of very soft lips on his cheek. Ayame squealed in delight as Hinata quickly pecked Naruto's cheek before lowering her head and started poking her fingers together. Ayame could swore she saw steam coming out of her head. Naruto was still dazed, unconsciously rubbing his cheek. And what? Get going, lover boy. And what? Tucci said, laughing and breaking Naruto from his thoughts. And what? You will miss the festival if you stay here all night. And what? And what? All right. And what? Naruto said, yelling as he shook Hinata awake. And what? See you tomorrow, old man. And what? Naruto said as Tucci waved him off. And what? That kid is going to become great. I can feel it. And what? Tucci said, and Ayame could only agree. 1 hour later, Hokage's office. Sarutobi Hiruzen was using his pipe as he watched the fireworks from his window in the Hokage's tower. Konoha may be beautiful at day, but it was so much more at night. His thoughts trailed to a particular 8-year-old blonde kid named Naruto. Today was his birthday and things always got more complicated today. Sarutobi had assigned an Anbu to watch over them today, just in case anyone would dare to attack them. Today was the festival, and alcohol easily clouds judgment, but then again so does hate. And mixing those two could prove deadly. Suddenly the door to his office burst open and Jiraiya came in running. And what? Jiraiya? And what? Hiruzen asked, surprise. And what? I don't have time to explain. And what? Jiraiya quickly said, taking deep breaths. And what? Where is Naruto? And what? Jiraiya asked, and Hiruzen raised an eyebrow. And what? Naruto-kun. Why? And what? Hiruzen asked, smoking on his pipe. And what? I don't have time. We must hurry. And what? Both Jiraiya and Hiruzen shivered when they felt a wave of dark chakra wash over Konoha. And what? Naruto and what? Hiruzen yelled as both ran off Hiruzen's office. Moments earlier, with Naruto and Hinata. And what? Look at we have here. And what? Some civilian said as looked towards both Naruto and Hinata. The civilian was clearly drunk if his breath and cheek color was anything to go by. And what? It's the demon brat and his lover. And what? The civilian said, and some other heard him. And what? Leave. And what? Naruto hissed as he placed Hinata behind him for cover. And what? Let's end what the fourth began. You won't escape us tonight. And what? Another civilian said, and Naruto cursed his luck. He could easily take on civilians with his trained Sharingan, but he felt a large chakra amount among them, meaning some of them might be shinobi. Naruto quickly hurled a shuriken only to be caught by someone. This someone threw the shuriken back, grazing Naruto's cheek and drawing blood. Naruto panicked, knowing that the man in front of him was stronger than him. Naruto hurriedly went to his pouch and picked a smoke bomb. Just as Naruto was about to throw it to the ground, the shinobi blurred from his position and caught Naruto's wrist before he could use the bomb. In all the confusion, Naruto's genjutsu over his eyes slipped and his blood-red eyes with 3 black tomos were revealed to the world. And what? Sharingan, the bastard, stole the eyes of the Uchiha. Get him. And what? One civilian yelled as everyone rushed Naruto. And what? Run. And what? Naruto yelled to Hinata as he tried to hold the civilians back. And what? No. And what? Hinata softly said. And what? I'm not leaving you behind. And what? And what? Please leave. And what? Naruto said just above a whisper. And what? I don't want you to get hurt. And what? Naruto said. And what? I woah ah. And what? Hinata was saying when she dropped to the ground screaming and clutching to her head. And what? Futon, Daitappa, great breakthrough. And what? Naruto said, releasing a gust of wind and pushing everyone back as he rushed Hinata, who was on the ground. Naruto was besides her on a flash and could only watch as Hinata squirmed on the ground. And what? Hinata-chan. What's wrong? And what? Naruto asked, panicking. He didn't know what was happening. Naruto looked back and saw the shinobi simply enjoying the scene while the civilians got up once again. Naruto removed her purple strand from her forehead to see her cagebird seal glowing. Naruto quickly looked around and spotted some Hyuga making a hand seal. He rushed said Hyuga only to be pinned to a wall by the shinobi that was watching. Naruto yelled in pain and coughed blood as he was pinned to the wall by a kunai through his shoulder. And what? Kurama, help. And what? Naruto thought to his partner, who had been watching everything unfold before his eyes. And what? No. And what? Kurama replied, making Naruto's eyes widen. And what? I am already giving you as much chakra as I can without you dying. And what? Kurama explained. And what? I don't care if I die. Give me chakra. And what? Naruto yelled but never got a reply back from Kurama. And what? Kyuubi, you bastard. And what? Naruto thought, gritting his teeth. He was helpless as he watched the civilians beat him to a pulp, but he didn't care. He only cared for Hinata, who was on the receiving end of the seal. And what? Naruto-kun. And what? Hinata called out just above a whisper. The civilians stopped beating him and simply watched the scene, taking pleasure on the pain the demon was in. Naruto dropped to the ground in a bloody pulp and dragged himself towards Hinata. And quat. ILO and quat. Hinata didn't get to finish as she let out a last breath and her eyes became a hollow white. And quat. Hinata-chan and quat. Naruto said, trying to get a reaction from her. And quat. Wake up and quat. Naruto sobbed, slowly shaking Hinata. And quat. Please wake up and quat. Naruto whispered, but Hinata remained immobile. Naruto cried while the civilians simply laughed. He didn't understand why he or even Hinata did to deserve this treatment. Sure, Naruto had a demon stuck in his gut, but he didn't understand why Hinata would be attacked as well. She was a kind and gentle soul, unable to harm a fly, a dangerous trait in the shinobi world. And quat. Now you know how it feels, demon. And quat. Some civilian shouted. And quat. Now you understand what it is like to lose someone you love. To watch the life being drained away while you can't do nothing to stop it. And quat. Naruto picked up the purple strand of silk and simply clutched to it. Naruto was on his knees with his head down, crying. And quat. This is the end, demon. And quat. The shinobi said as he unsheathed his sword. And quat. Die. And quat. The shinobi said and swung his sword. And quat. No. And quat. Both Jiraiya and Hiruzen yelled as they arrived at the scene, but they were too late. They could only watch as the blade made its way towards Naruto's neck, and neither one would be able to stop it. Then, to everyone's surprise, the blade simply phased through Naruto's neck, exiting it like nothing had ever happened. And quat. What the? And quat. The shinobi said in confusion as he swung it again, but the same thing happened. And quat. You killed her. You killed her. You killed her. You killed her. And quat. Naruto mumbled beneath his breath. Temperature started dropping quickly as chakra swirled around his body. And quat. You killed her. And quat. Naruto said in a low voice. And quat. You killed her. And quat. Naruto yelled as he got up and turned back. Everyone flinched when they gazed upon Naruto's eyes. They were the Sharingan, but they had a different pattern in them. A pitch black background with a cracked circle in it. Within the circle were 3 circles. Naruto looked down at his hand to see Hinata's ribbon. Naruto brought that single piece of cloth and everyone's jaw dropped as it was absorbed into his eyes, disappearing completely. And quat. They deserve to die. They all deserve to die. And quat. Naruto whispered, his lips parting into a dark smile. And quat. I'm going to kill you all. And quat. Naruto roared as a pitch-black aura started forming around him. Everyone shivered at the feeling. It felt like the temperature had gone down a ton. And quat. Naruto-kun, stop this. And quat. Hiruzen pleaded from the roof. Naruto didn't look at him as his aura started forming a black rib-caged form around him. An ethereal warrior with 2 large sabers formed around his body. Everyone watched in fear as a samurai appeared around Naruto. And quat. Those you can't let go of hate have no place in this world. And quat. Naruto said in monotone voice. Naruto swung his large black saber, cracking a wall in half and completely beheading the shinobi that stood frozen in front of him. The civilians saw this happening and they wanted to run, but they were petrified with fear. They watched Naruto slowly approach them with a dark smile on his face. And quat. Rasengan. And quat. Jiraiya yelled as he created a Rasengan to try and stop Naruto. Naruto simply swung his black sword and swatted Jiraiya away like some bothersome fly. And quat. I have no quarrels with you, Jiraiya of the Sannin. Stay out of this. And quat. Naruto warned as he watched Jiraiya dig himself out of the wall. And quat. Naruto-kun, please stop this. And quat. Hiruzen said as he dropped down in front of the civilians who looked relieved to see their Hokage. And quat. They made their choice and now they will pay the consequences. And quote, Naruto said, chuckling. And quote, if you stand by their side then I shall go through you as well. And quote, Naruto warned, and Hiruzen simply lowered his head. And quote, I'm so sorry, Naruto. And quote, Hiruzen said, and Naruto raised an eyebrow. And quote, Udama Rasengan. And quote, Jiraiya appeared behind Naruto and slammed his orb of chakra into his shield, cracking it and sending Naruto tumbling through the ground. Naruto hit a wall and fell to the ground, unconscious. And quote, leave, before I regret my decision. And quote, Hiruzen said towards the civilians, who quickly bolted out of there. Hiruzen approached the unconscious form of Naruto and picked him up. And quote, I'm sorry, Naruto. And quote, Hiruzen whispered. And quote, what about the girl? And quote, Jiraiya asked. Towards Hinata's body. And quote, destroy her body. She will be honored in the memorial stone. And quote, Hiruzen said, and Jiraiya nodded, performing a Kaden jutsu and destroying everything evidence of what happened. End flashback. Gamamaru stumbled to the ground as the genjutsu ended and he looked towards Naruto, who remained neutral. And quote, now do you understand? And quote, Naruto asked, and the great toad sage could only nod. And quote, good, it's your time as well. And quote, Naruto said as his hand sparkled. And quote, Raiten, Kirin. And quote, end of dream. Gamamaru woke up startled and began thrashing and yelling in his chair. And quote, what's wrong, great toad sage? And quote, Fukasaku asked. He quickly arrived at Gamamaru's room. And quote, summon Jiraiya quick. And quote, Gamamaru said, and Fukasaku went through the hand seals for the reverse summoning jutsu. He wondered why the great toad sage wanted Jiraiya, but he seemed in a hurry. And quote, come one lady, I'm the gray. And quote, Jiraiya was saying until he noticed he had been summoned and now stood in front of the great toad sage. And quote, Jiraiya, you must go to Konoha at once. And quote, Gamamaru said, and Jiraiya raised an eyebrow. And quote, what? Why? And quote, Jiraiya asked, confused. And quote, you must hurry, savor her, save the girl. And quote, next day, October 10th, Konoha and quote, I was too late. And quote, Jiraiya said, looking out the window at the hospital. Hiruzen simply sighed as his attention fell towards Naruto, who was peacefully sleeping in the hospital bed. And quote, what are you going to do now? And quote, Jiraiya asked towards his sensei. And quote, the only thing I can do. And quote, Hiruzen sighed as he looked towards the Hokage monument, more specifically towards Minato's face. And quote, I am going to seal his memories away. And quote, Hiruzen said, and Jiraiya was shocked. And quote, isn't that going overboard? The kid can still see the light. And quote, Jiraiya advised, and Hiruzen chuckled sadly. And quote, no he won't. And quote, Hiruzen said, and stopped Jiraiya from talking. And quote, did you see the look on his face last night? The hate? I have only seen that look on another person, a long time ago. And quote, Hiruzen said, looking at the sky. And quote, Naruto-kun had the same look towards me that Uchiha Madara had towards the Senju brothers. The Uchihas never are the same when they lose something they care for. There is no going back. And quote, Hiruzen said, and Jiraiya sighed. And quote, I'm going to seal Hinata's memories, his bloodline and his yang chakra away. And quote, Hiruzen said, and Jiraiya was shocked. And quote, you will seal the yang chakra as well? And quote, Jiraiya asked in disbelief. And quote, if you seal his yang, evil, chakra, you will cut his potential drastically and make him a kind and forgiving fool in a world of death. And quote, Jiraiya warned. And quote, there is no other choice. And quote, Hiruzen said, approaching Naruto. And what? Loyalty to the village above all, right? And what? Naruto asked as Hiruzen stopped his progress to look at Naruto's face filled with hate. And what? I'm sorry Naruto-kun. And what? Hiruzen whispered loud enough for Naruto to hear. And what? Spare me, old man. And what? Naruto snorted. And what? I do not care for your excuses. The seal will break eventually, and when it does, Konoha will burn to the ground for what they did to both of us. And what? Naruto said, smiling darkly with a tinge of red that threatened to spread to his eyes, even with chakra blockers applied to his body. And what? It's for the greater good. And what? Hiruzen sighed as he placed his hand on Naruto's forehead, just above his eyes. And what? You better hope to be dead when I come back. And what? Naruto warned a final time before losing consciousness. And what? Fuinjutsu, young lock. And what? Hiruzen whispered as a small seal appeared in his forehead before disappearing. Naruto stirred as Hiruzen stepped away. And what? Gigi. And what? Naruto cheered and Hiruzen smiled with a heavy heart. Naruto's mindscape. Deep inside Naruto's mindscape, inside the Kyuubi's cage, a figure suddenly shimmered into existence. This figure looked exactly like Naruto with the exception of his glowing blood-red eyes with the black tomos swirling wildly. He was the young part of Naruto, his darker side, so to speak. And what? I never expected to have company in here. And what? The Kyuubi said as he opened a single eyes to gaze upon Naruto's form. And what? You have no right to talk to me, Kyuubi. And what? Naruto said, glaring at the Biju with his Sharingan. And what? I had no choice on the matter. It was either killing you by flooding your system with my chakra, or letting the girl die. I made the logic choice. And what? The Kyuubi explained and Naruto chuckled. And what? My life doesn't matter if Hinata isn't a part of it. You made your choice and now you will live with the consequences. And what? Naruto said. And what? You dare threaten me? And what? Kurama asked, raising his voice. And what? You should remember who I am. And what? Naruto warned as his Sharingan flared and the Kyuubi gasped and struggled to control his own body. The Kyuubi could feel his chakra being controlled and restrained by merely glazing upon Naruto's Sharingan. And what? This seal will break eventually. And what? Naruto simply replied, leaning by the wall with his arms crossed and his eyes closed. And what? And until then? And what? The Kyuubi asked, having calmed down due to Naruto's influence. And what? I will train my eyes, ninjutsu and genjutsu while in here. And what? Naruto replied, opening his eyes to show his Mangekyo Sharingan. And what? I only hope my yin part keeps my body in good shape. And what? Naruto said. 7 years later. And what? Brad, get some sleep. I will teach something good tomorrow. And what? Jiraiya said as he shooed his godson off to bed. It had been almost 2 years since Jiraiya had taken Naruto on a training trip. And still, Jiraiya didn't live a day without regretting what had happened all those years ago. Naruto simply nodded and went back to sleep. Today hadn't been a good day for him. He felt unusually tired and his chakra unresponsive for some reason. Naruto only hoped this wasn't permanent. Naruto lied down and twirled his necklace as he looked at the ceiling. He had been alone his whole life, but for some reason, he always felt that he was missing something. He felt a hole in his heart, and he never found anything to fill it. Naruto sighed as he shifted to his right and closed his eyes, embracing the sleep. 5 minutes later, Naruto suddenly woke up from his sleep as memories started rushing through his head. Naruto clutched to his head as His eyes started burning. Naruto opened his mouth to scream but nothing came out. Naruto's eyes started turning blood red and 3 black tomos appeared in them. They started spinning until they formed his Mangekyo, but it didn't stop. Naruto's eyes pulsed, the pupil started shrinking as several silver concentric circles appeared around it. And Quat, I'm back in Quat, Naruto gasped with his Rinnegan glowing. Naruto disabled his eyes but didn't have much time to think about his new set of eyes when Jiraiya burst through the door. And Quat, Naruto, what happened? And Quat, Jiraiya asked. He had felt a very large and powerful chakra pulse within Naruto's room. Like someone had just disabled a very powerful genjutsu. And it would look bad for Jiraiya if Naruto was taken right beneath his nose. And Quat, long time no see, Jiraiya of the Sannin. And Quat, Naruto simply said, making the sage raise an eyebrow in confusion. And Quat, what are you talking about, brat? And Quat, Jiraiya asked, scratching his head in confusion. And Quat, you forgot all about little old me? And Quat, Naruto asked, smirking as his blood-red eyes flared to life. Jiraiya took a step back when his eyes became red. At first thought, Jiraiya wondered if it was the Kyuubi, but that only happened when Naruto got emotional. Jiraiya narrowed his eyes until he saw 3 black tomos swirling. And Quat, damn it, the seal broke. And Quat, Jiraiya thought, worried as his right fingers started glowing blue, with several kanji on each individual finger. Jiraiya blurred towards Naruto, intending to repair the seal and lock his bloodline again. And Quat, not this time. And Quat, Naruto said, still sitting on his bed. Several black chains sprouted from the ground, ripping through the wood and entangling Jiraiya. Jiraiya was caught and pinned on his knees to the ground. If the chains were strong enough to hold the Kyuubi, then Jiraiya was no match. And Quat, let me go, Naruto. You don't have to walk this path. And Quat, Jiraiya advised. He hoped his godson would see the light. And Quat, darkness. When everything that you know and love is taken away from you so harshly, all you can think about is anger, hatred, and even revenge. And no one can save you. And Quat, Naruto simply said as he rose and kneeled in front of Jiraiya, looking him dead in the eyes. And Quat, I can't have you remembering this or anything of my past before we met at the hot springs. And Quat, Naruto said, and Jiraiya had a drop of sweat running down his face when he saw Naruto's eyes starting to shift. And Quat, you never met me before the hot springs. And Quat, Naruto said as Jiraiya's pupil started dilating slowly. And Quat, you know nothing about my bloodline. And Quat, Naruto said, and watched as a small trail of blood ran down Jiraiya's cheek from having his memories forcefully suppressed. And Quat, and you never knew Hyuga Hinata. And Quat, Naruto finished. And Quat, Koto Amatsukami. And Quat, Naruto said as his eyes pulsed and Jiraiya's eyes regained their natural color, before rolling behind his head as he fainted instantly. Naruto started chuckling slowly until he threw his head back, laughing madly. And Quat, now that I'm back, let's see what happens to Konoha, shall we? And Quat, Naruto grinned darkly. It was a gloomy day in the vast Hidden Leaf village. There was no blue sky today, but only a rough woolen blanket filled with various shades of gray. Sometimes, in rare places, a chink of light managed to break through the dense clouds, but otherwise it was almost as dark as pre-dawn. The air was humid and smelled of storms, but no rain had fallen. It was quiet outside, unnaturally so. No birds chirped happily or small rodents scavenged the grounds for food. They all hid away in their small shelters, looking at the darkening skies and protecting themselves against the upcoming cold and vicious storm that would ravage the land. And then, breaking through the dreaded silence, a single crunching sound echoed through the quiet forest. A single twig crushed under the weight of the two people walking slowly over the dried earth. The first was one of the tallest men in all of Konoha. He had a wart on the left side of his nose and waist-length, spiky white hair tied back into a ponytail, with two shoulder-length bangs framing his face. There were red lines under his eyes which extended further down his face into his jawline. He wore a green short shirt kimono and matching pants, under which he wore mesh armor that is visible at his wrists and ankles. The second figure walked a few steps behind Jiraiya. He had blue eyes and blonde, spiky hair that slightly shadowed his eyes with two bangs framing his face. He wore form-fitting orange pants and a gray flak jacket over black clothing. On his right wrist was a single, dark purple, silk ribbon, glistening under the rare beams of light. And quat, we are almost there. Are you excited to be back home? And quat, Jiraiya asked, looking backwards to his student. And quat, home? And quat, Naruto thought, bitterly, throwing a side glance at his mentor. And quat, I am. And quat, he answered plainly. Jiraiya frowned at the simple answer but chose to let it slide. His relationship with the blonde was strained during these last months and had bordered on hostility in some situations. And quat, Jiraiya-sama, and quat, Jiraiya looked to see the eternal guards greeting him with goofy smiles. And quat, Katetsu, Azumo, good to see you. And quat, Jiraiya replied, nodding at the obviously bored shinobi. And quat, oh, look who it is. You've grown up, Naruto. And quat, Katetsu said, but noticed that Naruto had yet to truly step into the village. The blonde stood inches away from the stone pavement the massive wooden gates of Konoha rested on. And quat, Naruto. And quat, Katetsu asked. Naruto for his part could barely restrain his rage at the smiles on the gatekeepers. He had thought long and hard about everything he wanted to accomplish, but now that he was back in Konoha, the place where he was molded, now, all that anger from so long ago was bubbling beneath the surface. He clenched his fists, burying it all deep inside, and silently stepped over the pavement and walked into the village, passing over the gate guards without replying. And quat, Naruto, where are you going? We need to meet with Tsunade. And quat, Jiraiya scowled at his students' impoliteness. And quat, you go. And quat, was the short answer Jiraiya received. And quat, I'll stop by later. And quat, the blonde added, walking away. Naruto couldn't face anyone right now. They would be greeting him with those smiles and hugs after so much time. Not knowing what truly happened all those years ago, he wouldn't be able to take it all in and would explode, taking everyone with him. He had returned to the village with a very clear goal in his mind. As Naruto walked through the village with no clear destination, whispers reached his ears. He noticed through the corner of his eyes as the civilian population looked at him with narrowed eyes and scoffing expressions. And quat, all the better. And quat, Naruto thought with smirk. And quat, hate, I can take. And quat, and then the blonde bumped into something in the middle of the street. No, not something. Someone. And quat, oh, it's you. And quat, a sneering voice entered the blonde's ears and his gaze shifted upwards. He looked at the person that stood in front of him. Who was he? He had never seen this person before, but he knew the signs easily enough. The lack of active chakra network coupled with disdain plastered across his face. A civilian. And quat, yes, little old me. And quat, Naruto replied with a smile that stretched a little too much. There was no killing intent being released, no pressure from chakra saturating the air around the duo. It was the eyes. Mirrors of the soul. Cold, calculating, angry, and filled with revenge and bitterness. The blonde let out an amused chuckle, and the civilian had the common sense to swallow dryly and take a step back. The civilian's eyes were wide and restless, darting around to the sides wildly, either looking for someone to notice his situation or to make a run for it. The civilian was obviously too scared to properly reason. They deserved to die. They all deserved to die. And quote, Naruto-kun. And quote, Naruto was broken from his thoughts when someone launched himself at him, wrapping their arms around his frame. And quote, Ayame. And quote, Naruto murmured fondly. And quote, you certainly took your time to get back. Come on, sit your ass down. And quote, Naruto got no chance to reply as he was physically dragged to one of the ramen stools nearby and forced to sit down. He hadn't even noticed he was close to Ichiraku ramen. And quote, Naruto, good to see you. And quote, Tucci said, his voice carrying a happy tone as he greeted his favorite costumer. And quote, first bowl is own the house. And quote, thanks. And quote, Naruto replied, half-heartedly, picking up a pair of chopsticks. He looked at the empty seat to his left. Memories rushed to the front of his mind and he gripped the chopsticks tighter, snapping them in half instantly. He sighed at the mess and picked up another pair. And quote, Tucci, give me another bowl. And quote, the blonde asked. And quote, right, 2 bowls coming right up. And quote, Tucci said. A couple minutes later he was finished. And quote, here you go. 2 bowls of your favorite ramen. And quote, the old man said, placing both bowls in front of the blonde. Naruto looked with a small smile at the swimming fish cake, the bubbling of the soup and the steam coming from the broth. He absently pushed the second bowl to the front of the empty stool next to him, and let it there. He took a sip, savoring the unique saltiness that only Ichiraku's ramen seemed to have. Naruto quickly finished his bowl and moved to drink a glass of water. And quote, don't forget the other bowl. And quote, Tucci said jokingly. Naruto's eyes shifted to the left where the second bowl of ramen now sat, cold and forgotten. And the stool remained woefully empty. Naruto clenched his fists in rage, completely forgetting about the glass cup in his right hand. The glass shattered, piercing through the soft flesh of his hand instantly. And quote, oh my god, Naruto. And quote, Ayame shouted, rushing around the wooden counter. And quote, you're hurt. And quote, she exclaimed in horror. Naruto said nothing and simply plucked out the buried shards of glass like pulling petals from a flower. Small drops of blood fell to the floor before the wound was sealed off by his healing factor. Naruto got up abruptly and turned to leave. Tucci was about to ask the blonde if he was all right when his old and tired eyes spotted something he had never expected to see again. A single, dark purple, silk ribbon tied neatly to Naruto's right wrist. And quote, he couldn't have. The third swore to us that he would never remember. And quote, Tucci thought in shock. And quote, Naruto. And quote, Tucci called out, halting the blonde just as he was about to leave. And quote, do you remember? And quote, Tucci, Ayame. And quote, Naruto interrupted, still facing away from them. His hands gripped the wooden edge of the wall with such strength that the wood frame splintered beneath his fingers. And quote, you two were among the few people that always treated us with kindness. And quote, Naruto whispered, looking back at Tucci's horror-stricken face with glowing blood red eyes. And quote, let me return the favor. Leave this pathetic village. And quote, and with that Naruto was gone. Tucci looked at Ayame with sorrowful eyes and stared at the place Naruto had been. He sighed deeply, and by the next week, Ichiraku Ramen had been closed with Tucci and Ayame leaving Konoha forever shortly after. With Jiraiya and Quat. Jiraiya. How many times have I told you to use the door? And Quat. Tsunade asked with her eyes twitching. The sudden rush of air from the open window sent several papers flying. Papers that were previously neatly stacked by her side. By her own hand no less. Tsunade looked murderous while Jiraiya just looked sheepish and none sorry at all. Sorry. And Quat. Oh Tsunade Haim. Is this how you treat me after 3 years? I'm hurt. And Quat. Jiraiya wailed, hoping down from the window and placing a hand on his heart, crying anime tears. And Quat. Where's the brat? And Quat. Tsunade asked, looking over Jiraiya's shoulder and searching for the blonde menace. Then she noticed the darkened expression that came across her teammates' face, and fear gripped her heart. And Quat. He's not. And Quat. And Quat. He's not dead, you can relax. And Quat. Jiraiya replied, and Tsunade immediately sighed in relief. And Quat. You idiot. And Quat. She snarled, chucking an empty bottle of sake at the pervert who skillfully caught it in his hands. He rose the bottle and tipped it over his mouth, letting the last remaining drop to fall on his tongue. And Quat. What's wrong with Naruto? And Quat. Tsunade asked seriously. And Quat. He's changed. And Quat. Jiraiya said darkly, turning around to look at the village. And Quat. And not for the better. And Quat. And Quat. What do you mean? Stop being cryptic and explain. And Quat. Tsunade snarled, slamming her hand on the table and making her pen bounce slightly. And Quat. It happened suddenly. About a year ago. I don't know what happened, but he changed overnight. One day he was the loud, cheerful and obnoxious brat, and the next he was cold, withdrawn, detached. And Quat. Jiraiya explained. And Quat. The Kyuubi. And Quat. And Quat. Had nothing to do with it. And Quat. Jiraiya interrupted. And Quat. It's funny really. He had no more Kyuubi outbreaks after that day. He even stopped asking me for training and secluded himself away from me to work on God knows what. Hell, the brat barely speaks to me. And Quat. And Quat. And you are only telling me this now. And Quat. Tsunade raged, standing up so harshly that the chair was pushed and fell backwards to the floor. And Quat. Shinobi break. After the crappy childhood he had, it's a miracle he hasn't snapped yet or gone into depression. And Quat. And Quat. I am not depressed, but I thank you for acknowledging the, how did you put it? Ah yes. Crappy childhood. And Quat. Both Sanin froze the sudden voice and turned only to the sea. Naruto leaning against the wall. And Quat. How the hell did he enter the room without me even noticing? And Quat. Both Tsunade and Jiraiya thought in surprise while looking at the blonde. And Quat. Naruto. And Quat. And Quat. Hokage-sama. And Quat. Naruto replied, nodding the at Tsunade. And Quat. Hokage? What happened to Ba-chan? And Quat. Tsunade thought, still in shock looking at the blonde that stood in front of her. He had certainly grown, she'd give him that much, but instead of the cheery and loud voice she expected, all she got was a neutral, impassive face staring at the two Sanin. He didn't look sad or angry. He just there, as if obliged. And Quat. It's good to see you, brat. And Quat. Tsunade said happily, walking around her desk and wrapping her arms around the blonde. She felt him stiffen at the contact and felt like she was hugging a brick wall. And Quat. Let me take a good look at you. And Quat. She said, pulling back and standing at arm's length away. As she sized him up, he looked just about as any teenager, although his eyes seemed to hold too much conflict. And Quat. I hope you've grown stronger. And Quat. She said jokingly, And quat? Asked the pervert. And quat? He replied instantly, shifting his attention to the figure by the window. And quat? Although, I don't think he will have much to tell you honestly. And quat? Naruto said with a shrug. And quat? What does he mean by that? And quat? Tsunade asked, turning her attention to Jiraiya. Her old partner was right. Things between sensei and student seemed a bit frosty. What did happen between these two? And quat? No matter. And quat? She said before Jiraiya could reply. And quat? I have the perfect person for you to spar. And quat? And quat? Yo, and quat? Kakashi appeared outside of the room and quickly entered through the windows. And quat? Stop using the windows as doors. And quat? Tsunade yelled, dashing back to her desk to hold the papers in place. Naruto watched as Tsunade berated his old sensei. And quat? Look at them. And quat? Naruto thought, looking as Kakashi bowed deeply in apology but with a faint smile beneath his mask. He clenched his fist silently. And quat? Look at how happy they are. And quat? And quat? Naruto. And quat? Naruto was broken from his thoughts by Tsunade. And quat? Did you hear me? And quat? And quat? Sorry. And quat? And quat? Anyway. And quat? Tsunade said, with a tick mark. And quat? I was planning on having you and Sakura against Kakashi tomorrow. And quat? And quat? Can we do it today? Right now, maybe? I want a few days to settle in and rest properly. And quat? Naruto quickly interrupted. He just wanted to get this out of the way. He need both time to calm down and time to do exactly what he came here to do in the village. And quat? It's good for me. And quat? Kakashi said with a shrug. And quat? Meet me at the training ground 3. And quat? And with that he disappeared in a cloud of smoke. And quat? Wait. And quat? Tsunade's shout was in vain. And quat? I wonder who is the bloody Hokage in this village. And quat? She grumbled in thought. And quat? Sakura's busy right now. And quat? And quat? It's fine. I can fight him alone. You want to see my progress, right? And quat? Naruto half-asked, shrugging his shoulders and walking out of the office, heading towards the training grounds. Tsunade raised an eyebrow at his words, and after he left she turned her full attention to Jiraiya. And quat? Did you see that? That is exactly the attitude I had to put up with for the last year. And quat? Jiraiya complained. And quat? What did you do to him? And quat? Tsunade asked with a pointed look. And quat? Why am I always the one who takes the blame? And quat? Jiraiya said, mopping. And quat? He's going to face Kakashi alone. How strong is the brat anyway? And quat? Tsunade asked, heading towards the door. And quat? I don't know. And quat? Jiraiya replied simply. And quat? Want to elaborate? And quat? Tsunade nearly growled. She always had a short fuse, but Naruto's sudden change was worrying her. She was in no mood for games. And quat? I honestly don't know. And quat? Jiraiya said, holding his hands in defeat. And quat? I grounded him on the basics for the first few months and conditioned his body with proper exercises and a healthy diet. I also expanded his ninjutsu arsenal with the Udama Rasengan, giant Rasengan. And quat? And quat? That's it. And quat? Tsunade asked in disbelief. She felt like smothering her old partner. And quat? Hey. And quat? Jiraiya said, taking a step back in fear. And quat? I only had 2 years. The last year he barely spoke to me. How could I even teach him? And quat? He asked reasonably. And quat? So, you just left a 15-year-old teenager alone to train for whole year, and quat? She asked in disbelief. And quat? I tried. I really tried. But he kept pushing me off and secluding himself away. Most of the times I didn't even know where the brat was. And quat? He scowled. And quat? But I'll tell you something I noticed during his training. He's fast. And quat? Jiraiya muttered. And quat? How fast? And quat? She asked, narrowing her eyes in interest. And quat? Him fast. And quat? Jiraiya said, nodding towards the wall to where the portraits of the older Hokages were held. Particularly, towards the portrait of Namikaze Minato, the Yondaime Hokage, and the yellow flash of Konoha. She froze. He couldn't have reached so far. And quat? It's impossible. Minato's speed was legendary. He was heralded as the fastest shinobi to ever live. It takes years to reach his level. Even if Naruto could reach it, and that is a very big if. And quat? I saw it with my own eyes. There is no way for him to know about the Hiraishin, but the kid can move. I can assure you of that. And quat? Jiraiya said seriously, and Tsunade bit her lip. That kind of progress of unprecedented. And quat? Then let's go watch the battle. If you say is true, then Kakashi will have much more than he bargained for. And quat? Tsunade said, walking out the door with her cloak billowing behind her. Jiraiya spared a glance at Minato's portrait before sighing and walking out. Training Grounds 3 #. Unsurprisingly, Naruto was the first one to arrive at the training grounds. He stepped into the middle of the grounds and was assaulted with memories from his old bell test. When his memories were still sealed, and he was a charge head on Loud Mouth, he scoffed and stepped away, heading towards the stone monument that stood a minute away. Seconds later he stood in front of the memorial stone. His eyes hungrily read through the hundreds of names carved into the smooth stone until they landed on one in particular. Hyuga Hinata. And quat? I miss you so much. And quat? Naruto said softly, running his hands over the name. And quat? My memories of you are so far away, but my feelings have not changed. I swear that they will pay for what they have done to both of us. And quat? Naruto paused, stepping back and shaking his head. And quat? No. And quat? He said fiercely. And quat? We will have our revenge together. And quat? Yar. I did not expect to find you of all people here. And quat? Naruto froze as Kakashi's voice echoed through the clearing. He turned his head slightly to see Kakashi lazily entering the grounds. And quat? Good. And quat? Naruto thought in relief. He was far away. He hadn't heard his words or promises. The blonde said nothing as Kakashi stopped next to him and both stared at the memorial stone in silence. And quat? Kakashi sensei. And quat? Naruto called out softly. And quat? Do you think it was worth it? And quat? He asked, looking at stone monument with sadness. Hundreds of shinobi laid down their lives, and for what? Some petty village with jealous and narrow-minded people. Kakashi hummed, looking at his old student in both surprise and confusion. So, Naruto had matured during his 3-year trip. He pondered momentarily before replying. And quat? You would not be here if not for every single name in there. Or this village. And quat? What they did, the sacrifices they made were to protect the village, our home, our family. Doubting that is to throw away their efforts and bring shame to their memory. And quat? Kakashi replied, stepping away and walking towards the training grounds just as Tsunade and Jiraiya arrived. And quat? This village did not deserve any of you. And quat? Naruto thought, looking at all the names in the stone. And quat? Senju Hashirama, I wonder what you would say about what your village has become. And quat? He pondered, walking away. It didn't matter in the end. Nothing mattered. His choices were set in stone already. He passed by Kakashi just as Tsunade and Jiraiya took their places nearby, close to the edge of the training grounds to watch the battle. Naruto's stance was relaxed, emotionless, his breathing was calm and even, the only movement was his hair fluttering in the breeze. Deep blue eyes stared at the masked Junin. And what? Such aura. And what? Kakashi thought with a chuckle. And what? You have grown, Naruto. And what? He said out loud, with an eye smile. And what? I guess I'll be needing it this time. And what? Kakashi said, lifting his headband and revealing his single blood-red eye. And what? That won't be enough this time. And what? Naruto replied swiftly. And what? We will see. And what? Kakashi said with an eye smile. And what? Like before, come at me with the intent to kill. And what? He said seriously. And what? Alright, ready? And what? Kakashi asked, bending his knees and preparing for the battle. And what? Star and what? And then Naruto charged forward. But unlike 3 years ago, he was in Kakashi's face in the blink of eye. Kakashi's Sharingan eye widened in utter surprise at the burst of speed and he could only instinctively jerk backwards. But it wasn't enough. His single Sharingan caught sight of a purple blur as a kunai in the blonde's right hand slashed at him, detaching his head from his shoulders in a single clean swipe. Kakashi exploded in smoke and Naruto chuckled when he heard a small crunching noise in the trees. It appeared that the original Kakashi was also surprised. And what? I told you. And what? Jiraiya said smugly. And what? Unbelievable. And what? Tsunade said, watching as Naruto dispatched Kakashi's shadow clone with a single strike. Theoretically, it shouldn't have been possible at all. Charging head-on against a Sharingan user was pretty much pointless as they would see you coming, not matter how fast you were. Kakashi stepped out of the trees, turning to face Naruto head-on. Although if one were to look closely at the masked Junin, one would a slightly different posture. Kakashi, it seemed, was now taking Naruto seriously. Kakashi took a deep breath just as his hands blurred together. And what? Kaiten, Gukakyu no Jutsu, great fireball technique, and what? And what? A straight attack. And what? Naruto thought in doubt, crouching just as the towering ball of fire approached. But then he sensed something. He backflipped just as a pair of hands burst from the ground, trying to snare his feet. And what? Alright, let's show him a little bit. And what? Naruto thought with grin, taking a deep breath and forming a single bird hand seal. And what? Futon, Daitappa, great breakthrough. And what? A massive burst of wind exploded from Naruto's position and charged against the incoming fireball, effectively dispersing the enemy attack instantly and dispelling Kakashi's clone in the process. The fire was snuffed out as the wind rushed the original Kakashi, who was once more stupefied. And what? A wind attack beating fire? I guess he has plenty of chakra to spare. And what? Kakashi thought, rushing through a quick replacement to smoothly evade the large wide attack area of Naruto's windjutsu. Kakashi appeared near the trees and crouched behind the foliage. And what? Shinobi Lessons Number 1. And what? Kakashi's eyes widened as a faint voice whispered his ear. And what? Taijutsu. And what? Kakashi swiftly turned around, raising an arm to block a vicious kick. Kakashi gripped Naruto's leg and spun, launching Naruto into tree, but he only backflipped mid-air and landed gracefully midway up the tree. Both shinobi rushed each other once more. Student and sensei clashed fists, streams of blue chakra swirled around them. Each clash came with A resounding bang. Mere seconds into the physical battle, Naruto overcommitted into a punch, putting the blonde slightly off balance, and only someone as experienced as Kakashi would notice it. Kakashi easily diverted the punch, making Naruto stumble forward ever so slightly. Kakashi's fist shot forward, blurring towards the exposed jaw of the blonde in what would be a strike enough to daze Naruto and give Kakashi the upper hand. Time seemed to slow down as the fist approached, and at the last second, Naruto smirked and ducked under the offending arm. Naruto quickly rose, grabbing Kakashi's exposed arm and twisting it behind the Junin's back, effectively trapping Kakashi in an arm lock. And quat, nicely done. You fainted the stumble. And quat, Kakashi commented as both shinobi fought for control, even with Naruto in an advantage position. And quat, however, and quat. Kakashi quickly jumped and twisted midair, releasing himself from the arm lock and retaliating with a powerful kick. Naruto crossed both arms in a X formation to block the strike but was pushed backwards, his feet dragging through the moist dirt. Suddenly, a clone of Kakashi shot from the ground right before the blonde. Kakashi looped his arm behind Naruto's armpit and used the neck as hold. Naruto struggled briefly with both arms locked while the original Kakashi ran forward with a kunai at hand. The blonde ducked slightly, pushing backwards as he placed a foot behind the Kakashi clone and grabbed his remaining leg, effectively picking up his restrainer, just before slamming the clone into the ground, dispelling it. Naruto rolled on the ground as Kakashi slammed his knee on where would have been Naruto's chest. The earth cracked, sending chunks of moist dirt flying about. Naruto regained his footing, picking up a single kunai and throwing straight at the kneeling Junin. Kakashi's Sharingan tracked the blade and easily evaded it, but not before noticing a faint but still discernible layer of chakra. The Junin narrowed his eyes even further at the dangerous humming sound it made as it zipped past his head and sliced its way through several trees before disappearing in the distance. And quat, I thought we agreed on taijutsu. And quat, Kakashi said, narrowing his at the shrugging blonde. He had just evaded a wind chakra enhanced blade. And quat, shinobi lie. Kakashi sensei. And quat, Naruto said, just before he exploded in smoke. And quat, yar yar. And quat, Kakashi said, running his hand through his hair. And quat, I guess it can't be helped. Shinobi lessons. Number 2. And quat, Kakashi said, narrowing his eyes at the moving bushes. And quat, ninjutsu. And quat, just. As Kakashi said those words, Naruto jumped out of a bush and charged at the Junin with his right hand extended. Kakashi heard the familiar swirling sound as chakra filled Naruto's right hand, and soon enough he was face to face with a glowing ball of pure silvery chakra. And quat, silver chakra. And quat, Kakashi thought in surprise, sidestepping the charge. He grabbed Naruto's outstretched hand before twisting his arm at an awkward angle. There was a loud cracking sound as bones splintered and Naruto disappeared in a cloud of smoke. Kakashi braced himself as several more Narutos burst from the foliage, all aiming Rasugans at the Junin. And yet, the Junin skillfully evaded the strikes. And quat, if I could use my eyes this would have been over long ago. And quat, Naruto thought to himself, considering that he couldn't use his eyes so openly. Not against another Sharingan. Even with a genjutsu to hide them, Kakashi would see right through it. Kakashi sidestepped once more using the blonde as leverage and jumped, his hands blurring through hand seals. And quat, Kaiten, Ryuka no Jutsu, fire dragon technique. And quat, a stream of glowing red fire shaped like dragon erupted from his mouth. The entire clearing grounds were set ablaze and Kakashi spotted several bursts of smokes in the midst of the flames. And quote, I really need to expand my elemental repertoire. And quote, the blonde thought, hiding in the bushes with a glowing pair of blood-red eyes. With a smile, the red glow faded into ocean blue and he disappeared just as the fire consumed all of his clones. And quote, you're getting tired, Kakashi-sensei. And quote, Naruto commented as he released another burst of wind, forcing the Junin to skid through the ground. Kakashi immediately turned around to block a vicious kick, courtesy of a random clone. Kakashi's wince was the least of his worries as the clone glowed a bright color before exploding loudly, rocking the trees and ground with the force of the blast. Kakashi crossed his arms in front of his face to withstand the blast. And quote, now that you know how to fight properly, you can easily be overwhelming with all your clones and ridiculous chakra pool. And quote, Kakashi replied with an eye smile. And quote, you haven't seen anything yet, Kakashi-sensei. I have finally discovered my powers during my training trip. And quote, Naruto said, with a grin that was downright terrifying and put Kakashi on edge. And quote, something locked in my blood has finally surfaced. And quote, Naruto said, stopping the middle of the clearing. Kakashi bent his knees and trained his eyes on the blonde. His Sharingan eyes narrowed as the blonde's chakra seemed to thicken around his chest. And quote, something's coming. And quote, Kakashi thought but was completely unprepared when several chains as dark as night burst from Naruto's back and charged with blitzing speeds at the Junin. And quote, holy asterisk 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 asterisk. And quote, Kakashi thought, turning around and jumping into the forest, using the thick trees as cover against the chains as they obliterated everything in between Naruto and his target. With Tsunade and Jiraiya and quote, he's really good. He's holding his own against Kakashi. And quote, Tsunade said in mild disbelief just as Jiraiya openly gawked at his godson's apparent skill. And quote, he was nowhere this level the last time we trained, and he certainly had no knowledge of his elemental affinity. And quote, Jiraiya said, narrowing his eyes as Kakashi and Naruto traded blow for blow. The blonde was giving just as he was receiving, more even, if the winces. Kakashi sometimes showed we anything to go by. And quote, Tsunade-sama. And quote, both Sanin turned around just as Sakura came running into the clearing. She arrived near the pair, breathing deeply. And quote, I came as soon as I could. And quote, you're too late, Sakura. Now I want to see how this plays out. And quote, Tsunade said, reverting her attention to the fight between sensei and student. And quote, but Naruto can't beat Kakashi-sensei alone. And quote, Sakura protested. And quote, take a look for yourself, Pinky. And quote, Jiraiya muttered. Sakura ignored the color comment and turned to watch the fight. Her jaw proceeded to drop when the only thing she saw were blurs and sparks as metal clashed. And then Naruto used his chains. And quote, it can't be. And quote, Jiraiya said in shock, watching as Kakashi struggled to evade the dangerous ceiling chains. Chains powerful enough to restrain even the strongest of all bijus, the mighty Kyuubi. And quote, Kushina's adamantine ceiling chains. And quote, Tsunade whispered in disbelief. And quote, so that's how Naruto has been restraining the Kyuubi. No wonder Jiraiya said he never had any more outbreaks in control. And quote, Kushina's chains. And quote, Sakura asked her master. And quote, is it some kind of bloodline? And quote, Tsunade looked at her student and realized that she had spoken without thinking. She sighed and chose to tell Sakura a brief history. And quote, adamantine sealing chains. It was a special ability only people of the Uzumaki clan could use. It was not exactly a bloodline per se, as not everyone from the clan could use them, and it had no apparent hereditary traits. Most people speculate it had to do with the Uzumaki's special chakra and vast chakra pools. And quote. Some Uzumaki could thicken their chakra to the point of creating a physical interaction. They usually used this ability in the forms of chains. They had special powers, like the ability of seal a target's chakra while wrapped around them. Not to mention they are durable, to the point of being able to restrain a biju completely. Tsunade said while shaking her head in disbelief and turned to watch the fight once more. Still the most unpredictable ninja of all. Tsunade thought with a chuckle. With Naruto and Kakashi and you're finished, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said, as he gave chase to the Junin until they reached an open clearing with nowhere for the Junin to hide behind. How about one final clash? The blonde asked, retracting his chains and holding out his right arm with a familiar silver swirl on it. I guess I have no choice. Kakashi sighed, holding out his arm as well, but this time, instead of a swirl, loud chirping sounds echoed through the clearing. And in the trees not so far away, a pair of glowing, blood-red eyes watched Kakashi's technique hungrily. Both shinobi eyed each other before running forward, both arms stretched in what would be one final clash of powerful abilities. Just as both jutsus were about to clash, Naruto smiled and exploded in smoke. Kakashi's eyes widened as his Reikiri pierced the cloud of smoke. In the midst of the distraction and confusion, Naruto burst from the ground just beneath the charging Kakashi. He grabbed Kakashi's Reikiri arm, diverting it away as he twisted the Junin, placing him between the ground and Naruto. Naruto finished the movement by bringing his right arm down, but this one carrying a brightly glowing sphere of silver chakra. Just as the sphere was about to make contact with Kakashi's unprotected chest, he stopped. I win, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said, with his Rasengan hovering the Junin's vest. Kakashi just eyed the blonde warily. That move was a finisher. He had no escape, and if Naruto's hadn't stopped, he would have easily been killed. Naruto shifted his attention to the approaching Tsunade, followed shortly by Jiraiya and Sakura. Impressive. Very impressive. Tsunade stressed. Almost too impressive to believe. She said, narrowing her eyes at the blonde who shrugged his shoulders. I guess I finally grew into my abilities. The blonde with a shrug and held his hand down, pulling Kakashi up. The pervert did a decent job in the early stages. Tsunade said, throwing a side glance at her partner who was mopping in the sidelines. Alright, brat. You earned yourself a few days. Get some rest and meet with Kakashi and Sakura in 1 week's time. So, Team 7 is back in action. Kakashi asked with an eye smile. Yes. Sakura cheered. Now the only thing missing is getting Sasuke-kun back. She whispered, looking at Naruto in expectation. Fuck the Uchiha. Naruto wanted to reply out loud, but he settled for a grunt. Hey, Naruto? Want to go eat some ramen and catch up? Sakura asked. Maybe. Later. The blonde replied and walked away, getting surprised reactions from everyone. What happened to you? That was the collective thought of everyone watching. Naruto walk away. Later that day Naruto sat cross-legged in the middle of his dark living room. No lights were turned on, and the only light was the occasional thunder in the sky. The blonde suspected it would rain soon enough, but it didn't matter. He had waited so long for this moment. He took a deep breath and looked over the clock that hung on the wall. 1:30 a.m. Naruto's eyes glowed a bright red and started spinning just as the space around him started to swirl until the blonde vanished from his house. Naruto appeared in the rooftop of Konoha's hospital with a clear objective set in his mind. He was about to infiltrate some of the more restricted areas of the building. The blonde used the cover of the night to bypass the perimeter guards. The Anbu stationed outside clearly looked bored and not even particularly attentive to his surroundings. Normally it would have been hard to sneak inside when there are guards at the doors. But Naruto could slip through walls. Once inside the hospital building, they would have to be more careful. Hospitals never closed. There was always someone passing by. And so, Naruto calmly and quietly moved between rooms, searching room to room, floor to floor until he arrived at precisely where he wanted to. From what he could gather, the staff that actually knew of this place commonly called it the fridge. Its real name was long and complicated. It was the place where every single blood sample of every shinobi that ever served Konoha was stored. Well, at least since its inception, all the while to when Tsunade revolutionized Konoha's entire medical system. Naruto picked inside the main access room and noticed that while there were no guards inside, it seemed one doctor was there, working in the access terminal. And perfect, and Naruto thought, sliding through the wall and sneaking behind the doctor. Naruto quickly turned him around and forcing the surprised doctor to stare right into his eyes. The doctor's eyes became drowsy and Naruto took a step back, allowing him to regain his composure. And I would like to run a search. And Naruto asked calmly. The medic didn't even acknowledge the blonde and simply walked to the main terminal. And name? And the medic asked in a dull voice. And Hyuga Hinata. And Naruto replied softly. And date of birth? And December the 27th. And we will be together soon. And Naruto thought with a smile. He could bring her back. His new eyes allowed him such feats easily. He only needed something from her body. A piece of hair or a small drop of blood. His had scoured his apartment trying to find something, but it appeared that the third Hokage had been thorough. And no match. And Naruto froze as the words left the medic's mouth. It couldn't be. The bank stored blood samples from every shinobi. Even if Hinata hadn't been a registered shinobi back then, clan's heirs were expected to become shinobi no matter what, and as such they were registered here at birth. And search again. And Naruto said. And no match. And again. And he commanded. And no match. And Naruto rushed the terminal, grabbing the medic by his clothes and pulling him from the terminal. The blonde inserted the information one more time, 2 more times, 3 more times, and every single time the answer came back the same. And AARGHHHHHHHHHHH. And the blonde screamed in rage as hate consumed his entire being. He slammed his fists on the plastic keyboard over and over and over again, until pieces of it flew through the air and the terminal flickered briefly before shutting down. Sarutobi Hiruzen, it seemed, had erased every proof of Hinata's existence. There was no birth certificate, no medical records, no blood samples. Nothing. as if she had never existed in the first place. Naruto was filled with despair. He had to bring her back. He had to. He couldn't go on without her. Not without his Hinata, his queen. Rage filled him once more, and with glowing eyes, he swirled away from the hospital and landed somewhere in the middle of Konoha, at the entrance of some house. And quat, Naruto, and quat. The blonde's trembling hand stopped inches away from the wooden door at the sudden voice. Rain poured from the sky. His clothes were wet and clung uncomfortably to his skin, his hair was dripping with water. And in the darkness of the night, only a pair of glowing blood-red eyes lit the dark doorway. Water ran down his face. He raised a single hand to clean his face. Was he even crying? It didn't matter in the end. His hand reached once more for the handle, but he stopped once more when giggling sounds echoed from the other end of the wooden door. The blonde could hear people talking and laughter from the other side. And quat, if you go through this, there is no turning back. And quat, Kurama whispered from the deep recess of his mind. And quat, why do you even care? And quat, Naruto replied bitterly in his mind. And quat, we both knew it would come to this. And quat, I could not care less about the villagers. And quat, Kurama muttered, and receded back to the confines of Naruto's mind, his opinion already given. And quat, il lo and quat. Hinata's soft voice faltered, her breath leaving her one final time as she ultimately stopped struggling in the cold floor and died. And quat, wake up. And quat, Naruto remembered saying, having dragged himself to her and gently shaking her. And quat, please wake up. And quat, he remembered asking, hoping, begging, and in the end staring at pair of dull, empty and dead eyes. Anger surged through him and his right foot shot forward, slamming against the wooden door. The lock shattered instantly and the door was forced open, crashing against the walls with a loud sound. And with that, Naruto ran inside with a pair of glowing eyes and hate bubbling inside. Nobuo was a simple man. He was not rich, intelligent, or particularly skilled in anything. He did not live a life of danger like the shinobi, and from the earlier stages of his life he settled for mediocrity. His parents had died in his early adulthood, but he managed on his own. He worked hard and had finally managed to gather enough money to open his own small restaurant. It wasn't anything fancy, just 10 tables serving daily meals. He liked cooking, and it was there, eventually, that he met the woman who would later on become his wife, Amaterasu. Sometimes business was slow and both Nobuo and Amaterasu struggled with the bills, but in the end, it enabled them to raise a daughter, Harumi, who carried the same light blonde hair of her mother and chocolate eyes of her father. Business had boomed 2 years down the line, and they had moved to a bigger house, one large enough to raise a family. Nobuo loved cooking for his wife and beautiful daughter. And in the end of the day, everything he endured at his restaurant, all the mayhem of serving meals, a few complaining customers, it was worth it. He had a happy life and loved hearing his little girl laughing at the dinner table and telling them all about her adventures at school. And then the door of their house exploded and someone charged inside. First came the silence of surprise, as the family looked at the doorway, and then came the screams, and they quickly rose from the table. Amaterasu quickly grabbed little Harumi and turned to run away, while Nobuo instinctually grabbed the knife from the table and took his stance against the attacker. Naruto easily disarmed him, the knife falling to the ground and skidding to the corner. His right arm shot to Nobuo's neck as he lifted him and slammed him into the wall. Nobuo coughed and struggled to breathe as he tried to push the attacker away. And it was only then that he had finally recognized the man, and his eyes widened in fear. And quat. So, and quat. Naruto muttered. And quat. You do remember that night, don't you? And quat. Naruto asked coldly, tightening his hold slightly, making Nobuo choke. And quat. Gee, get away from him. And quat. Naruto turned his head to see the man's wife pointing the fallen knife at him, while keeping little Harumi hidden behind her. She was shaking from fear, with tears running down her face. Naruto noticed from the corner of his eyes that Nobuo was waving his arms down, clearly trying to tell her to run away. And quat. Get away. And quat. She screamed and ran at him in desperation. Naruto ducked under her attack and retaliated with a kick to her stomach. She coughed hard and was sent tumbling over the floor and until she hit the wall and slid to the floor, unconscious. Naruto turned his attention to Nobuo. And quat. You deserve to die. You all deserve to die. And quat. Naruto said, picking a kunai from his pouch and pinning Nobuo to the wall through his shoulder. The man screamed as the blade tore through his flesh, but Naruto clamped his hand over his mouth. And quat. W wake up. And quat. And quat. P please W wake up. And quat. Naruto's eyes widened and he froze, as he turned around and watched as Harumi, their daughter he assumed, cried and shook her mother, trying to awake her. And quat. Plumum and quat. Naruto turned his attention back to the man and removed his hand. And quat. P please. And quat. Nobuo begged, breathing deeply and gulping as he tried to bury the pain. And quat. I have a family. And quat. Naruto stopped and for a moment the Nobuo had a sparkle of hope. That spark was instantly snuffed out by Naruto's words. And quat. So did I. And quat. Screams tore through the house and minutes later Naruto walked out, with his hands drenched in blood, and in the darkness of the night and the pouring rain, he wept. That's the end. Guys, if you enjoyed then be sure to like, subscribe and leave a comment.